So now that we have our players set up, are able to trigger the boxes, players can collect the keys. Why would they need a key? The key should be to unlock a door. So let's go ahead and include these objects in here. So I'm going to insert a new object. Now in the graphics, there's a top and a bottom to the door. And so we want to do that for each player. So player 1, I can go door bottom. And so there's also an open and a closed frame. So here's the bottom of the door. There's closed, there's open. When I include these two, I want to make sure that these are not moving, because in the event sheet, we're going to move it from 0 to 1 on the frame when an event triggers. So make sure that this is 0, because if you don't, this will automatically transition. This is a different setup than the actual triggers. I also want to set the origin to that bottom left for pull animation. So I can put player 1's door. Once it grabs the key, let's put the door here. I'm going to put player 1 down here. And then I'll do the top of the door. There's also an open and a closed state on the door as well. Make sure that you have the animation set up. And actually, I'm going to change this to bottom. And the reason why is because I want to make sure that I'm pinning the player to the door once it does open up. So I'm going to go to bottom. And you'll see why that is happening once we get the player does get the key. Make sure that that speed is set to 0. I already have these set up. Let's clone these. And that one, its name . So there it is, player 2 door bottom, and then the top, I'm going to clone, put that into position, I'm going to rename 2, save my work, and just for testing purposes, I'm going to put the key down here, I'm going to put the key down here, put the player over here, so they're somewhat close, that when the player has the key, so player 1 is on collision with the bottom of the door, so player 1, I want to add a second condition, so I'm going to right click, add another condition. Does player 1 have key? We're going to compare that instance variable, and has key equal to yes. If it does, I want to transition the animation, so I'm going to set the frame to 1 on the bottom, as well as the top of the door. I want to set the frame, and then I'm going to pin the player to the door so the player can no longer move. So add action on the player 1. I'm going to go to, and I'm going to set enabled, and I want to disable the player from moving, and I also want to make sure that I set my position to another object. I want to set my position to the bottom of the door at the origin, which is 0. And then I'm going to do the same thing for player 2 now. So I can select these two, right click, replace object, player 1 with player 2. Then the door, top and bottom. This is going to get replaced with the bottom of the door and top of the door. And then also replace player 1 with player 2. So if player 1 reaches the door and it has the key, I want to transition the frame, disable the player, set the position of the player. So player 1 has the key. Player 1 needs to reach the door and it's behind. So I need to make sure player is at the top of the layer. So player 2 grabs the key and does not open the door. Let's take a look and see what happened there. Let's also fix this. So player 1, I'm going to right click, Z order, send to top. Player 2, right click, Z order, send to top as well. Okay, so player 1 bottom of the door. I need to replace that with player 2 door. There we go. That's why this mechanism was happening. Okay. I'll put the door down here at the bottom so it's easier for us to see this in testing. So player 2 grabs a key, runs into the door. Player 2 is stuck. Eve made it to his door. It's waiting for player 1 to reach the door, and once both players reach the door, then we can restart the level. And we're going to do this by double checking, are both door frames at frame number 1. So player 1 bottom of the door, we're going to compare the frame. Is the frame equal to 1 for player 1 and player 2? So player 2 bottom of the door, we're going to compare its frame. So if both player 1 and player 2's door bottom, if it's in both are in frame 1, that means that both players are at the door. Therefore, let's wait. I'm going to wait a second, and then I'm going to restart the layout. Player 1 collects the key, gets to the door. Player 2 collects the key, gets to the door, restarts the level. Perfect. Go ahead and work on that, and we'll see you in the next video.